King Xuan also chose to watch Han Sen's test. Young Manly was her subordinate and best friend, and she did not need to watch to know her skills. All she wanted to find out was whether or not Han Sen could give her another surprise. Having done detailed analysis and research on the guy, she was surprised by his potentials. He was from an ordinary family and was able to get this far. Other people might think that Han Sen had benefited a lot from her help, but King Xuan herself knew very well that his achievements were all accomplished on his own. Even the help she had offered to him was because of his contributions. If King Xuan had not hypnotized him to learn the truth, she would strongly suspect that Han Sen was dollar. Although Young Manly is very powerful, she is not the best leader, and Han Sen is much better in that regard. King Xuan sighed. It was not an easy position to be in, pressured from the upper and lower level at the same time. If King Xuan could choose, she would rather be just a soldier whose only responsibility was to fight. But since she was put on the spot, she had to shoulder her responsibilities. King Xuan believed that Han Sen was the better candidate to take care of all kinds of issues. When the test began, all King Xuan's attention was attracted by Han Sen. She was unable to move her eyes from him. This is amazing. Unbelievable. Su Xiaoqiao clenched his fists and thoroughly enjoyed himself. King Xuan was extremely shocked. Although King Xuan was not a great archer, her eyesight was much better than Su Xiaoqiao's, so that she could notice more details that escaped Su Xiaoqiao. Han Sen almost started shooting immediately since the beginning, and King Xuan never saw his arrows miss. He never hurt any white bird. Sometimes, King Xuan only saw the black birds after he shot the arrows. Some arrows were significantly slower than others and did not even aim at the black birds in the beginning. However, the arrows would always end up in the bodies of black birds. If it was occasional, King Xuan would not be impressed, but she had seen the situation happening repeatedly. His judgment, eyesight, and archery were all super impressive, King Xuan had to admit. If Han Sen were to be rated S, there was no doubt that Young Manly would lose. This was a result that King Xuan was willing to see. After all, if a leader of the team did not have the absolute authority, the stability of the team would be endangered. If Han Sen was able to beat Young Manly in her strongest field archery, he would be able to establish the necessary authority to deter Young Manly from questioning his ability. Young Manly was very satisfied with her performance. She had outdone herself because of her strong desire to beat Han Sen and prove herself to King Xuan. Although she was still rated A, her score was among the top in a level. She had killed much more blackbirds and had also increased her speed by 3 minutes. As Young Manly walked out of the test scene, she saw that both King Xuan and Han Sen were there and thought, "He is out so early, which meant he was even faster than me. Then he must have not killed enough blackbirds or have even shot a white one. Here's my score." Young Manly directly demonstrated her report to King Xuan. A level, 964 blackbirds killed. Well done. You've made a huge progress by only missing 36. King Xuan read the statistics in the report and complimented. Indeed, a score like this was outstanding him on the unevolved. So, King Xuan thought secretly, Young Manly would have been invincible in steel armor shelter. It's just there is Han Sen. How about you? Young Manly asked Han Sen. She was not happy that her position was stolen by a teenager. Han Sen did not speak and showed her his report. With only one look, Young Manly suddenly narrowed her eyes and looked incredulous. A golden S on the report told her that she had lost. He must have killed all 1,000 blackbirds, and he was also faster than her. How is that possible? Young Manly could not believe that Han Sen was so strong. Half a year ago, she trained him, and he had made such progress in just 6 months. S level. Many professional archers would not even be able to get such a rating. Although Han Sen was in the archery department, his progress was still awe-inspiring. According to Young Manly's knowledge, Han Sen was in the Warframe contest and black and white boxing competition. He even starred a commercial. How much time did he have left to practice archery? Young Manly regarded Han Sen. No matter how reluctant she was to admit this fact, the fact is the fact. S level, she could not even try to compete. Alright, this is a done deal then. King Xuan did not say much, but felt satisfied with Han Sen's performance secretly. When the three left the online community, Su Xiaoqiao was still thrilled, watching the video he just took. I had never thought Han Sen's archery skills are so strong. Su Xiaoqiao watched the video repeatedly and could not stop. The hunting frenzy was like the best movie, full of excellent frames. Han Sen's figure stood aloof and cold, and his movements smooth and perfect. Without any edit, this video was comparable to any well-designed movie. You're keeping such a secret from me. Now it's time for a punishment. Su Xiaoqiao grinned and uploaded the video to the farm of Sagittarius. He also named it S-Level, White Bird's Forest. Su Xiaoqiao hesitated for a second and still blurred the facial features of Han Sen to protect his identity. S-Level? For real? I don't believe it's real. Many watched the video with suspicion and started a heated discussion in the forum. This is unbelievable. Must be special effect. I just checked on the official website. And this test was indeed rated S. Super. How did he do it? I watched more than 10 times and could not stop myself. I'm totally hooked. Young Manly also saw the video. Because of the timestamp of the video, it was easy for her to tell that it was Han Sen in it. Looking at Han Sen, Young Manly got goosebumps. This kind of performance would be any archer's ultimate pursuit. He was more than accurate. It was like he could predict everything. No matter for archers or snipers, the toughest thing was never the accuracy, but the judgment under complex situations. Obviously, Han Sen was one of the best archers she had seen in this aspect. He did not aim at any target when he made the shot, but was able to tell where the target was going to be. Young Manly felt a chill. If she and Han Sen were shooting at each other, she might not even be able to make a single shot. It was a feeling hard to describe. Qin Xuan was right. He is a natural, thought Young Manly after finishing watching the video. The video was very popular in Sagittarius, but its popularity ended among archery lovers. Archery was, after all, a less popular skill. After going back to school, Han Sen wanted to call his girlfriend when his comlink suddenly rang. Sidu Xiang was summoning all the archery team members. At the training field of the school team, Han Sen saw Shi Jikeng, Lu Meng, and Zhang Yang, who were also summoned by Sidu Xiang. Today I have summoned you to show you some recordings of a student who will become one of your rivals this year. Sidu Xiang turned the holographic device on and projected the video. It was an edited video of one person shooting at different times, and most of the scenes were shot in the venue of the Military School League tournament. In more than 40 minutes, the entire school team was so quiet that one could even hear a needle dropping on the floor. After the video ended, Shi Jikeng wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and said, "OMG. Are you sure this guy is just a military school student instead of an Evolver professional archer? We are against him. Impossible. We'll definitely lose. He must not be human. He is our opponent and absolutely a military school student. I believe you have all heard of him. Jing Jiwu, the captain of the archery team of Alliance Central Military Academy. People call him Monster. In his freshman year, he had led their archery team to become the champion of the tournament." Sidu Xiang nodded and did not say anything. She turned to Han Sen and asked, "Han Sen, what do you think?" "We can only know after a match," replied Han Sen with a smile. The senior team members cast odd looks at him. If the comment was from any other freshman, they would definitely tell the person all about the bad performances of Blackhawk in history. However, it was Han Sen who said it, so they remained silent. After all, Han Sen was the genius on campus and had achieved great success in other items. Deep down, they still felt contemptuous about what Han Sen had said. Sidu Xiang was satisfied with Han Sen's remark. She was glad to see that at least one person had morale on her team. Blackhawk had been a loser for so long that it was natural for the senior team members to lose confidence. We will watch another video, also from an unevolved person. Sidu Xiang played another video, the background of which was a virtual gaming platform. It is the White Bird's Forest from Sagittarius. Someone suddenly recognized that. When the video started to play, Han Sen was surprised. It was the video of him taking the White Bird's Forest test. "I have seen that. It is a real video and has been recognized by Sagittarius." "Han Sen, do you think this person is stronger than you?" Sidu Xiang asked Han Sen. She wanted Han Sen to lead the team in this tournament. If he did not have the resolve to win, she would have to reconsider despite his good skills. "I should be on more or less the same level." Han Sen cleared his throat and answered. It was him in the video, so of course it was the same. Han Sen's comment sounded arrogant to others. The level of the guy in the video was clearly beyond that of a monitoring school student. Although Han Sen did well in Warframe and black and white boxing, he rarely went to archery classes. Like what Sidu Xiang was thinking before, his teammates felt unsure about Han Sen's archery skills and were reluctant to believe that he had the same skill level. "Han Sen, do you have a minute?" A sensual female voice sounded when they were going back to the dormitory. Han Sen's roommates all widened their eyes, staring at Huangfu Pinking, who had walked up to Han Sen. "What's the matter?" asked Han Sen reluctantly. "Have you forgotten what you have promised me?" Huangfu Pinking smiled and asked. She then turned to his roommates. "Do you mind if I borrow him for a second?" "Not at all." Shi Jikeng blinked at Han Sen. Han Sen remembered that he had promised to treat her to dinner. Now that she had even come to him, he had no other option than to follow her. First hooked up with our campus belle, now the new goddess. How come I never got lucky? Said Shi Jikeng admiringly. Because your skin isn't as smooth. Why would the pretty ladies like a rough guy like you? Lu Meng tried to put him down. When the beauties get older, they would understand the benefits of being with the rough guy, rebutted Sam. Lu Meng threw a contemptuous gaze at Sam, who was tough-looking and full of dirty jokes. Han Sen checked the name on the building and it was really a restaurant called Queen. And next to the name were 3 stars. Fu Pinking took Han Sen to a private room on the top floor. The declaration of this room was a bit strange, different from a regular restaurant. The sofa was crescent-shaped, facing a wall covered by a curtain. The table was also an arc facing the wall. As Han Sen was wondering, Fu Pinking had sat down on the sofa and took the remote to open the curtain. Behind the curtain, the wall was made of one-way glass, and they were actually on the balcony. When looking down, they could see a gigantic martial ring. On the martial ring, a heated combat was going on. Outside the ring was a cheering and shouting crowd. With another click on the remote, the sound could suddenly be heard. What do you want to order? Fu Pinking clicked the remote again and the holographic images of different dishes and prices were all projected. It's my treat, so you should order. Han Sen was completely attracted to the 2 persons in the combat. They were both evolvers and it looked like they had already gained a lot of Geno points. They both had practiced great hyper Geno arts. The man had both his arms looking like black metal, and the woman was wearing a pair of shorts, with her long legs gleaming like silver. One used fists and the other legs. They both had extraordinary strength and speed. Whenever there is the flesh-on-flesh clash, it sounded like metal. Han Sen was strong among the unevolved. Compared to these evolvers, he still fell short. What do you plan to do after graduation? Asked Fu Pinking, without answering Han Sen's doubt. What plan could I have? I am in the military school and I will naturally be enlisted. Han Sen said casually. Fu Pinking poured Han Sen a glass of wine and herself one. After taking a sip of the wine, she continued, do you know why this restaurant is named Queen? Han Sen shook his head and thought, how am I supposed to know that? I'm not part of your organization. Because there is a real queen here, Fu Pinking said seriously. Queen? Han Sen paused. There was no queen in the alliance. The highest political figure was the president, followed by the senators and generals. Not the queen of the alliance, but the queen on the martial ring, explained Fu Pinking, pointing to the martial ring. Han Sen then noticed that the 2 evolvers had left of the ring, and a host had walked to the center and said in an excited voice, now the highlight of the evening, the queen of ours will fight her 1000th combat. Will Her Highness remain undefeated? Let's wait and see. Please welcome the queen to the stage. Next, the lights were off in the entire martial ring, and the only spotlight hit on a tall woman in combat suit. She walked towards the ring wearing a butterfly mask to cover her face. She was about 6 feet tall and looked like a fierce weapon herself. The moment the woman walked out, all the audience started to cheer and calling her name with the same rhythm. The woman stood on the ring, raising her left arm and pointing her index finger and middle finger to the sky. With this gesture, the audience started to stand up and the atmosphere has become much heated. Today challenging Her Royal Highness is Zhu Zhiqiang from the Iron Fist Martial Hall. With the introduction by the host, a man around 30 years old also came to the martial ring. Han Sen did not listen to the host, but kept her eyes on the woman who was called the Queen. She had such a fierce manner that it looked like she had seen a million deaths. Han Sen himself also had a fierce vibe, but compared to her, it was nothing. When Han Sen was regarding Queen, the combat began and Zhu Zhiqiang turned his fists into golden alloy and smashed them at Queen. The strike was fast and fierce, compressing the air as it went. Even with Han Sen's eyesight, he could not tell how Zhu Zhiqiang started the strike. Han Sen thought to himself, indeed, I am no match to strong evolvers. This is such a formidable strike. This was the famous Super Alloy Fist, an S-Class Hyper Geno art of the Evolver section in the Saint Hall. Even among revolvers, only a few could use it well. This man was obviously much stronger than the last man. Soon Han Sen discovered that what Zhu Zhiqiang was best at was not his fist, but his footwork. His footwork was so fast that he approached Queen in just 2 steps. He also managed to make the fiercest strike in her weakest angle. Queen did not even move, letting the fist tougher than iron hit her temple. Banged, the fierce strike hit the woman's temple, only making her head move slightly. Very soon, she recovered and gazed at Zhu Zhiqiang with coldness. Zhu Zhiqiang looked incredulous. He could not believe that his signature could not even hurt this woman. My turn. Queen raised her left hand shaped like a knife, her white skin suddenly turning red. Seeing her raising her hand, Zhu Jiqing could no longer take the pressure and summoned his beast souls. His upper body was suddenly covered in armor and a long knife appeared in his hands. With a growl, Zhu Jiqing smacked at Queen with his knife. Like a lightning bolt, the blade was about to cut Queen. Her eyes cold, Queen did not mean to dodge. When the knife was in her face, she suddenly waved her hand at it. Her hand met the beast's soul blade and the weapon broke in the middle as if it were made of wood. And her hand did not even stop there and moved past Zhu Jiqing. Crack! Zhu Jiqing's beast soul armor was broken, blood flowing from the gap. Queen moved her fingers and her hand became normal again. Zhu Jiqing thumped to the martial ring and never got up. In the cheering of the audience, the medical team immediately rushed over and tried to save Zhu Jiqing. Queen raised 2 fingers to the sky again, giving rise to even louder cheers. Then she walked off the martial ring and disappeared in the channel. Han Sen's eyes lit up. He had seen many videos of the combats between evolvers, but none of them was as good as Queen. Obviously, Queen was among the top evolvers. In the 1,000 combats, she never lost to a single person from any other martial hall. She is the queen here and our best student. If you are willing to join the Ares Martial Hall, you could enjoy the same cultivation that she went through. You have great talents and might even do better than she. Huang Fu Pinking said with a smile. She must not be just an ordinary student. Han Sen refused to believe that Queen was an ordinary student at the Martial Hall. Of course not. And if you are willing, you could become extraordinary as well. She blinked. How? If you marry me and become related with the Ares Martial Hall, then you would certainly be extraordinary. Han Sen choked on the water he just drank. Han Sen unevolved. Status none. Lifespan 200. Geno points needed for evolution 100. Geno points gained 100 ordinary Geno points, 100 primitive Geno points, 64 mutant Geno points, 50 sacred Geno points. After leaving the shelter, he looked around and suddenly saw a red rope tied on a crooked tree. This was the signal he told Lu Weinan. At the time, he was only saying it casually and did not really want to cooperate with Lu Weinan. After all, they had fought each other, and Han Sen could not be sure that Lu Weinan would not hold a grudge. It looked like Lu was quite anxious. Why are you looking for me? Han Sen turned into dollar and walked to Lu Weinan. Brother, you have come finally. I have waited for you for so long. Lu Weinan came over excitedly. What do you need? Han Sen frowned. Brother, I found a sacred blood creature in Dark Swamp, but I was not able to kill it, so I want your help. Lu Weinan explained everything. Lu Weinan had been waiting for Han Sen for several days. He could not take care of the sacred blood creature, but he did not want to seek the gang's help either, because the gangs would take a big cut. That's when he thought of Han Sen and left the signal. When he was about to give up, Han Sen really came. What? You found a humanoid sacred blood creature? Han Sen stared, his eyes wide. Yes, it was covered in black armor and was holding a black spear in its hand. It was riding a black unicorn horse, which could float above the swamp, Lu Weinan described. A spear and a mount, what kind of creature is that? Are you sure you did not see a human? Han Sen looked at Lu Weinan incredulously. Brother, I kid you not. Although it looks like a person, you will see that it is definitely a sacred blood creature. So did you fight it? What's the outcome? Han Sen asked Lu Weinan. Lu Weinan blushed. It was too strong and its mount too fast. I had to use my iron-feathered bird to escape. Han Sen suddenly understood that Lu Weinan must have been completely beaten, and that was why he had come to Han Sen. So if I could kill the sacred blood creature, how do you suggest we divide the gains? Asked Han Sen. Whoever gains the beast's soul gets to keep it. As for others, I think the humanoid would be inedible, and all there is to share are its spear and mount. What do you say we each pick one, and I will let you pick first? Lu Weinan asked. Take me to check it out first. If I could kill it, then we can talk about how to divide. If not, then it doesn't even matter. Han Sen thought about it and said. Okay. Lu Weinan gritted his teeth and agreed. Han Sen did not kill him last time, which gave him some faith in Han Sen's character. If he were talking to another person, he would not show that person the creature first, as the information was his value in the deal. Half a day into the swamp, Han Sen found a mutant centipede more than 6 feet long. He cut the centipede in half with the diamond sword and cooked the insect for some mutant Geno points. The tough shell of the centipede was like tofu under the diamond sword. Lu Weinan saw the sword and his eyes lit up. Brother, this must be the sacred blood gear from that creature on Mystery Island. Did you manage to get its beast soul? You know your stuff. I did not get the beast soul, replied Han Sen casually and summoned Meowth to share the meat. Han Sen did not turn Meowth into its transformed state. It still looked like a kitty cat, eating meat at Han Sen's feet. Such a pity that I cannot summon the golden rock worm king, thought Han Sen. The Worm King was always with Han Sen instead of Dollar, so he did not want to blow his own cover. "Brother, you're still feeding it." Lu Weinan thought the cat was harmless as before and reached out to touch its head. Roar. Before his hand could touch Meowth, the cat suddenly turned into the transformed state, a black tiger biting at Lu Weinan. Lu Weinan was indeed great at escaping. Using his incredible footwork, he was able to take back his hand and run from the tiger. Meowth had already thrown itself at Lu Weinan and was ready to launch another attack. "Meowth, come back to eat," Han Sen called. He was counting on Lu Weinan to lead the way and did not want him to be killed. Lu Weinan pointed at Meowth and shouted, "Isn't it Mutant Beast's soul pet? How come?" Han Sen did not reply and continued to eat. Lu Weinan suddenly understood. It evolved. "Yes, I was lucky," Han Sen thought to himself. "If you see Holy Angel, you would know what a truly valuable pet looks like." Thinking of Holy Angel, Han Sen was a little upset. He had tried to feed her mutant meat, and she would not even look at it. When Han Sen was eating sacred blood meat, she became very interested. Unfortunately, Han Sen couldn't afford to feed her sacred blood meat yet. After the 2 persons and 1 cat were fed, they continued their trip. Because the centipede was too large, Han Sen was not able to gain a single mutant geno point with his full meal. After flying for several days in the dark swamp, they reached the destination. Unfortunately, all the mutant creatures they saw were too large, and Han Sen only gained 1 mutant geno point. They were at a water meadow. In the green grass stood a unicorn horse, on the back of which sat a knight covered in shiny black armor, with the black spear in his hand. Only by looking at it from afar, Han Sen was certain that it was not a human being, like Lu Weinan had said. The armor of the knights was neither metal nor stone, it was more like shell of the turtle or some kind of beetle. And there was no gap between the parts of the armor. It was very odd. Han Sen was sure that this was a sacred blood creature, and one that was very hard to deal with. It was much stronger than the stone man that Helen showed him. Just by looking at its spear and mount, Han Sen was sure that it was not an ordinary sacred blood creature. Humanoid creatures were already very strong, and this one even had a mount, which was something that Han Sen had not even heard of before. "Brother, am I right? Is it a sacred blood creature?" Hiding in the grass, Lu Weinan whispered to Han Sen. "Yes, it is indeed a sacred blood creature. However, it looks very strong and I am not very confident that I could take care of it." Han Sen told him the truth. The sacred blood creature was so strange. Han Sen did not think it would be weaker than the holy angel from the Mystery Island. However, he did not have a second sacred blood ghost butterfly at this point. This kind of rare sacred blood creature must be worth a lot of money. If we happen to get its beast soul, then we will be able to make a fortune. After the 2 had finished the discussion, they sneaked up on the sacred blood creature hidden in grass. Han Sen thought, no matter how strong the sacred blood creature was, as long as it could not fly, it will not be too risky for the 2 of them. When they were 500 feet from the sacred blood creature, it suddenly looked to their direction. Han Sen saw very clear that behind the helmet of the sacred blood creature were a pair of red eyes, as red as the flames in the hell. Before Han Sen and Lu Weinan could react, the sacred blood creature quickly urged the black unicorn horse to charge them and raised his black spear. "Watch out, this guy is too strong." Han Sen grabbed the diamond sword with both his hands and used Jadeskin to its full. The unicorn horse had an incredible speed. It could also float above the water and did not sink. Almost immediately, the sacred blood creature was merely a dozen feet from Han Sen. With its high speed, it quickly used its spear to stab Han Sen in the chest. Han Sen used Bladestorm to slash the diamond sword at the creature. The spear and the sword clashed. Han Sen was blown away with the sword in his hand by the magnificent strength of the creature. Han Sen was among the top of all humans in First God's Sanctuary. However, he could not block a strike from the sacred blood creature. After being thrown a couple of feet up in the air, he rolled in the water meadow for quite a while before he could stop himself. Lu Weinan, who was trying to launch a sneak attack at the unicorn horse, was dazed. He knew very well about Han Sen's strength, and even Han Sen was blown away. Lu Weinan quickly ran away when he saw that the sacred blood creature had made a turn to face himself. But Lu Weinan's footwork was incredible. He wiggled away like a fish and summoned his iron-feathered bird to carry himself into the sky. The sacred blood creature did not chase after Lu Weinan, but turned to Han Sen. The unicorn horse was so fast that it was immediately in front of Han Sen, and the spear was about to reach the guy. Boom! The 2 fierce monsters started a huge fight. Lu Weinan, who was up in the sky, was dumbstruck. He never thought the sacred blood creature would be so strong. Dollar was absolutely a celebrity in steel armor shelter. Just a while back, he killed the sacred blood creature on the Mystery Island alone, beating Son of Heaven to it. Such a strong man was not able to beat this creature at all, which was beyond Lu Weinan's imagination. Han Sen was also shocked. This sacred blood creature was not weaker than Holy Angel at all. Its skills to use the weapon was also so incredible that Bladestorm seemed weaker. Although Han Sen had seen the Sly Fox King and Black Feathered Beast King, as well as the powerful Holy Angel, he still marveled at the spear skills of this sacred blood creature. He believed that few in First God's Sanctuary could match the creature in spear skills. "Brother, let's go now," Lu Weinen cried to Han Sen in the sky. Although Han Sen was no match to the creature, he did not want to retreat. It would not be that easy for the sacred blood creature to kill him right away, so he wanted to test what is the weakness of the creature. Han Sen was attracted by the odd spear skills of the creature. Although it seemed that the creature would only stab and sweep with the spear, Han Sen discovered that both the stabbing and sweeping carried a strong spinning force. When the creature was stabbing, the spinning force would turn the spear into a drill that could penetrate anything, even a suit of sacred blood armor. When the spear was used in the sweep, it would make the perfect shield, in that anything touched the spear would be blown away. Magnificent spear skills. Han Sen was observing as he fought. However, he was still not able to tell how the sacred blood creature was making it work. As Han Sen was not able to continue fighting the creature, he summoned Meowth in its transformed state. Meowth threw itself at the creature, while the unicorn horse suddenly gave the pet a kick. Meowth did not anticipate this at all and was suddenly sent into the air. Fortunately, Meowth was very strong and the kick did not really hurt it seriously. With some blood on its mouth corner, it growled and ran toward Unicorn Horse. Han Sen took Meowth back and flapped his wings to fly up, leaving the creature alone. OMG, that was so scary. How come there would be such a formidable sacred blood creature in the dark swamp? Said Lu Weinen, controlling the iron-feathered bird to fly near Han Sen. I was right. It was not one sacred blood creature, but two. Han Sen was still staring at the sacred blood creatures from above. You mean the mount was an independent sacred blood creature? Lu Weinen suddenly understood what he meant and cried, then how can we ever win? Han Sen regarded the sacred blood creature and remained silent. It was still possible. He had Meowth, which could be used to distract the unicorn horse. However, Han Sen was not great at riding a mount and could not fight on Meowth's back. Also, the spear skills of the sacred blood creature were so strange that Han Sen had not thought of a solution. He was only able to fight that long using Sparticle, which helped him dodge many key attacks from the creature. If he were on Meowth's back, he would not be able to use Sparticle, which would make him vulnerable to the creature's attack. In addition, he had to borrow the strength of Bloody Slayer, which made him unable to use a mount. He thought about it, and decided that Meowth could only function as a distraction, and he had to be the one who did the fighting. You are not able to fly anyway, so there is nothing you could do to me. If I cannot beat you this time, I will come 10 more times. One day, I will definitely kill you, thought Han Sen to himself. He then found a place to rest with Lu Weinen until they were ready to fight the creature again. When he had recovered, Han Sen went to the water meadow. Before he reached the destination, Han Sen saw the sacred blood creature emerging from a lake, which puzzled Han Sen. Han Sen did not find anything peculiar about the lake, which was quite shallow. There were a lot of grass growing in the water and around the lake. Otherwise, there was nothing special about it. Maybe the guy is a neat freak and went down for a shower, but then it should have left its mount. Han Sen could not tell the reason and decided to forget about it. He took up the diamond sword and summoned Meowth, charging the creature in the form of Bloody Slayer. Han Sen and Meowth fought the creature together, but they could only last for about 20 minutes. The spear skills of the creature were so great that Han Sen's arms were only still functioning thanks to Jadeskin and Sparticle. Even his sacred blood armor was broken. Han Sen did not hesitate to fly away and take back Meowth. If it were not for Meowth, Han Sen could not even last 20 minutes. With his wings saving him each time, Han Sen fought the creature once in a while for a week. Brother, it doesn't make sense to continue. How about we seek other people's help? Lu Weinen saw Han Sen continue to fail and became worried. Although Han Sen would not die, it was clear that he was not the creature's match. Although Han Sen kept failing, he started to understand the weird spear skills of the creature. Now he was even more interested in the spear skills than the creature itself. The spear of the creature would not only spin, but it could spin both clockwise and counterclockwise. When it was spun clockwise, anything touching it would bounce off. When it was spun counterclockwise, anything touching it would be drawn in. This was similar to Yin-Yang Blast, which could reach the same effect by combining the Yin Force and Yang Force. Like Yin-Yang Blast, the clockwise and counterclockwise spin also depended a lot on understanding the opponent's psychology, which was similar to black and white boxing. The sacred blood creature was formidable in that it could always use the spinning force spot on, which puzzled Han Sen. Han Sen was a master of tricking his opponent, yet the creature could always predict his movements and use the corresponding force. Can it really read my mind? Thought Han Sen. Lu Weinan was very upset and said to Han Sen, "Brother, you keep trying. I will hunt some mutant creatures nearby and try to spot other sacred blood creatures." These days, Lu Weinan had seen countless failures of Han Sen's and now he had given up. Even with more help, these two sacred blood creatures could hardly be killed. With their speed and strength, even a large group of people could not block them from running away. Han Sen agreed and was still thinking why the sacred blood creature could see through his mind. He thought over all the fights with this creature in these days and was even more certain that the creature could see through his mind. Otherwise, it was impossible for the creature to make the right decision every single time. If it really could read my mind, then regular attacks would not work, thought Han Sen, touching his chin. If he wanted to beat the creatures, the only way was to conceal the actual force he was using. Even if the sacred blood creature could see through one's mind, the best it could do was to tell the target of the attack, instead of what kind of force would be used. In order to achieve that, Yin-Yang Blast was a great option. With the same strike, the Yin Force and Yang Force would create completely different effect, which was perfect to beat this creature with. However, Han Sen was still worried. Unfortunately, I have just started with the Yin-Yang Blast, and could not even use it to its full potential. In the next 2 days, Han Sen fought with the creatures multiple times, and was even more certain that the creature could tell what his target was. Han Sen had to start practicing Yin-Yang Blast, which was the only method through which he could kill the creatures alone. More people would not really be a help, because the creatures could always manage to run away. Not to mention Han Sen was not really willing to share with other people such special sacred blood creatures. It was fairly easy for Han Sen to practice Yin-Yang Blast because he had already accumulated a large number of Geno points. However, to switch between the Yin Force and Yang Force was not easy. Han Sen had gained some experience in switching forces during his fight with the creatures and made some progress. However, it still took him more than half a month to reach the first phase of Yin-Yang Blast and use the forces properly. That will be all for now. I hope you find this story interesting. Leave a like, subscribe, and enable notifications so you won't miss the next part of this story. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.